Do you see now the difference in our power?
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the final DLC character of Tekken 8 and what it can be. Now, this is something that we were expecting to be shown way later, and as such, I was expecting it to be some grand reveal, but this time around, they're going to do it at little old Combo Breaker. Now, Combo Breaker is a massive tournament. It's a great tournament, but it is nothing in comparison to the Game Awards, where they showed the last big character, which was Clive. And we can see here in 2024, it cost them 250,000 USD to show a 1-minute trailer, which at the time was Clive. Now, I was speaking with another game developer who said that sometimes that price isn't worth it. And Bandai Namco may be doing things differently because it was not worth it. Because if you look at what Clive did on release, it wasn't this huge success. It wasn't this huge growth. Yes, there was some new people trying it out, but it really didn't do much. And also combined with the fact that Final Fantasy 16, I believe is the game he comes from, that game flopped. Square Enix said it themselves that game underperformed. Whenever a company starts talking like that, it's a flop. So Clive flopped. And then Bandai Namco spent 250,000 to promote that character in their game, and they did not receive the benefits of it. So if they were going to do another guest character, they would obviously try to do things different. Different is possibly revealing that character on a smaller scale to your core audience, the FGC, the Tekken players. So for that reason alone, it still could be a guest character, just them trying to save 250,000 while promoting that guest character, right? You can use that in so many other ways. Now, something else you have to take into consideration is the simple fact that it cannot be a guest character. Okay, before we move on from that point, let me say this. This character will release around the time of GTA 6. I know a lot of people feel that fighting game players don't care at all about GTA 6, but you have to understand, the whole entire FGC is not built up of hardcore players. Players play multiple different games, and we know that when a big game comes out, fighting games take a hit. When Monster Hunter's released, Tekken lost 7,000 players. Street Fighter lost about 30,000, right? When you talk about the weekly players, so we know that those games have an impact. GTA is going to have an impact, and all the games that are out or releasing is going to try and retain their audience as hard as they can. They won't be able to. GTA is going to sweep everything, but they're going to try. And that's why I think another reason it should be a guest character, because Bandai Namco Tekken should be trying as hard as possible to retain their player base, because people already are not happy. And if GTA 6 comes out, people are going to be switching. So they need to do everything in their power to retain their player base. And a new character, I don't think it's going to do so. We have Marizu, we have Victor, we have Azuzina, we have Reina. Reina is the best and the most beloved out of all of them. The other three, generally players do not like them. They have their core audience, they have their core player base that loves the characters, but generally when you hear those characters spoke about, it's not pretty. And I think if they had another new character, it would possibly be the same thing, where people were like, up here we go again, stances, weapons, weird story tie-ins, fake marketing, ogre this. They're not really gonna want to hear it this time around. It would be much better if they went guest character, guest character, not guest character, new character. But then the other contender that they could possibly do is a legacy character. I know there's a couple of characters that's not currently in the game, right? Miguel, Julia, Marduk is a character who was in the leaked files and he still hasn't shown up yet. You have characters like Lei Wulong. People still want Christy. People want Katarina. There's a lot of names out there. Boskanovich. But it's obvious the character that would cap off a season would have to be Miguel. Miguel is the only remaining heavy hitter. Julia's a heavy hitter. Marduk's a heavy hitter. But Miguel is just a little level up above both of those characters. And I think putting Marduk in the game right now would upset people. Julia would be exciting, but I don't know if she can, like I said, retain players, and also if she would be like something that everyone would celebrate and love. Her gameplay, her visuals, everything would have to be really on point. Miguel is obviously an easy slam dunk. All they would not have to do is put installs and crazy stances, and boom, your legacy player base is staying. Another thing you have to talk about is what Harada said before retiring. Harada said in one of the final interviews that a character that will be returning is both Kunimitsu and Miguel. He said that they are very likely to show up. And we have Kunimitsu, and we were very surprised to not have Miguel. So the fact that he said that and it became half true is another kind of clue that Miguel will show up. It's really just a matter of whether it's season 3 or season 4. Now, if we circle back to the guest character idea and we just talk about what possible guest characters they can have, obviously Tifa is off the table. Nor do I think Tekken players want another Final Fantasy character. I mean, I think Final Fantasy has been done. It's overdone at this point, right? And it's not working. So we should do something else. And also, Street Fighter is seeming to get Tifa instead of us, right? Nikatsu, for whatever reason, wanted, well, we know the reason. Nikatsu thought that Clive looks good, and he thought that Clive's story sounded similar to Jin, and that's why he wanted to do Clive. But maybe he could have got Tifa, but at this point, it's a little too late. Now, if you talk about Kiri Kazama, they are owned, that character and the franchise Yakuza is owned by Sega. And I highly doubt Sega would give Kiri Kazama and the Yakuza franchise to Tekken when Sega is making another fighting game. That fighting game just so happened to be Virtua Fighter 6. Virtua Fighter 6 also just so happens to be one of Tekken's longest lasting rivalries. Every single time Virtua Fighter does an interview, they are slandering Tekken in very subtle ways, talking about how we're not going to give up on our core players. We're going to stay true to our brand. Kind of everything that Tekken players were asking for and upset at Tekken for, Virtua Fighter's kind of selling their game as. So there's no way Virtua Fighter or Sega would allow those characters in Tekken. That time has came and went. Another character you have to talk about is Baki. Harada was aware of Baki. I looked at tweets from about 2019, 2018, 2022, somewhere in there, right? That whole little time span of end of Tekken 7, early Tekken 8. Harada was very well aware of people wanting Baki, and he responded to those tweets saying, like, we'll research and we'll see how popular it is and we'll see what happens, right? And obviously, nothing happened, and the guy retired multiple years later. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's gonna happen. It's only so long we could sit here and be like, Baki, 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 Baki. They seen it, they responded to it, and they chose not to do it. So that one seems out the window. On stream, I was asking people what other characters do they want, and the ideas is kind of all over the place. I know that Tekken had the battle pass that was like the fighting game that has that has Regal in it. I can't think of the name right now, but Tekken was kind of like teasing some of that or like stealing their ideas. I don't know. It was so weird. It was like the hair, the pants, the hat. It was, and then Harada at the same time was on Twitter talking about Regal. So if that's the character they do, the FGC would love it. And it also would make so much sense as to why they do it at Combo Breaker, because a lot of people are saying the reason why they're doing it at Combo Breaker is because it's an FGC tournament. And if it was another character from another fighting game, that would make sense because you're talking to all the fighting game people and you really don't need to go to the Game Awards, right? So there's some ideas out there that they could do still and turn a huge profit. Goku, easy. Bleach, easy. Naruto, easy. Luffy, One Piece, you know, these iconic animes, Bandai Namco holds the rights over. And I know Tekken players are sick of me talking about it, but Bandai Namco and Tekken 8 are walking down a dangerous path of dying. When you're dying, you have to think about survival, and they have the ultimate trump cards at their ready. Mortal Kombat constantly dips into their archive with horror movies and scary characters and icons. Tekken should maybe start thinking about doing the same thing. We even see Street Fighter doing a similar thing where sometimes they dig into their portfolio and bring some stuff out.